Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today, we are going to be going over my Week 4 NFL Power Rankings. We just finished up a very exciting Week 3 of NFL football, and we are going to have some risers, some fallers. It's going to be a fun one. Let's get right into it with my 32nd team, the New York Jets. They've earned this spot. I think we can all agree. The Jets are terrible. They stay put here at 32. Sam Darnold has looked bad. He can't save the surroundings. Adam Gase is the worst coach in the NFL. They need to fire him. I think they're going to fire him soon. Hopefully they do. I literally do not know what to say about this Jets team. I don't know if I have to explain this ranking. I think we all know they are the worst team in the NFL. They're terrible. It's the Jets, the worst team in football. Maybe even by a full tier. That's all I have to say. 31, the Giants, and the only reason that the Jets might not be in their own tier at the bottom is because of their stadium mates, the New York Giants, who lost 36-9 against the 49ers. Okay, fine. It was against the 49ers, right? They made the Super Bowl last year, but this was the 49ers without Jimmy Garoppolo, without Richard Sherman, without Nick Bosa, without Deebo Samuel, without Dee Ford, without Raheem Mostert. The list goes on and on. They were missing their top 8 players on the road. And Nick Mullins starting at quarterback, and they beat you 36-9. And it's hard not to move them down, but the Jets have been equally bad. This offense just looks bad without Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones played poorly. He didn't play so bad the first couple of weeks, but he just played poorly this past week. Defense is one of the worst in football. I don't know what else I can say about this team. They're just bad. The Giants are here at 31, and the New York teams are our bottom 2 teams. At number 30, we have nothing too much better here. The Denver Broncos. This was a team that I had going 10-6 at the start of the year, and things just have not gone as planned. Everything that could have gone wrong for the Broncos has gone wrong, and you know it's not a good thing when the team is opting to start Brett Rypien as their starting quarterback for Thursday Night Football. And they play against the Jets, who are the worst team on here, so that should be a fun one. Not. But this team, they've just seemingly given up after the loss of Drew Lock and Courtland Sutton. And the only bright spot on that offense right now, I guess you could say Jerry Jeudy. He's not even been spectacular. It's just been rough. They lost their best players on that offense. And, the defense has been fine, but it's just not enough when your offense is putting up 10 points. And yes, it was against the Buccaneers, who have a good defense, but 10 points isn't going to cut it. This Broncos team is going to continue to struggle. I regret picking them as a team that I really thought was going to do well this year, but it just looks like they've given up hope already, and this is not what I was hoping to see at all from the Broncos. At number 29, we've got a little better here. Still not good. The Washington football team. And, how much more of Haskins are we going to see? I thought he was going to do well this year. And it's kind of embarrassing because my 2 breakout quarterbacks were Drew Lock and Dwayne Haskins. And look where we are. But 4 turnovers, a bad loss to the Browns. It was really rough for Dwayne Haskins. And yes, the front 7 has played well as we've expected. But it's just not enough. You can't win with one strength. That's just not how you do it in the NFL. The rest of the team is just bad. They play Baltimore this weekend, so expect them to get ripped up. Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, what are we going to see next for Washington? Because time is ticking on Dwayne Haskins. I've not loved what I've seen at all from him, and we're going to see with this team. But they're just bad right now at 29. At number 28, we have the Carolina Panthers, a tier gap between the Panthers and the Washington football team for sure, because the Panthers are a team that can win some games. They got a W here against the Los Angeles Chargers. I was not particularly impressed by the Panthers this week. They do end up moving a spot here because of that win. I was impressed. I think they're definitely a tier above that team that those teams I just listed. And I still think the defense is very, very bad. They benefited from a struggling performance from Herbert in his second game. Teddy Bridgewater's been pretty good. This offense has been pretty good. Mike Davis, fantasy owners who picked him up off the waivers last week, were very pleased with that performance. did a good job coming in there and replacing Christian McCaffrey, even though no one can replace Christian McCaffrey. It was, the Panthers team is going to be an exciting one to watch through the entire season. A lot of offense, not so much defense. Even though the defense did not play terribly this week, it's a fun team. I don't think it's a team that can compete right now in a pretty tough division. So, yeah. Now, next, we've got the Eagles at 27, and this is another where Spencer was wrong moment. The Eagles are the 27th best team in football right now, and they were my Super Bowl pick. So, Carson Wentz has been really, really bad, and it's sad that this team with so much talent on it was looking like they were equal to the Bengals, and they were my Super Bowl pick. I'm regretting that decision greatly. This team's problems right now really are stemming from that offense and Carson Wentz not being able to play well whatsoever. The defense has not been atrocious. It's not been terrible. They've done enough to the point where the offense should come through against these bad teams. Wentz has had the second lowest passing grade among quarterbacks this year. This offense just can't get things done right now. The injuries on the offensive line are really, really killing them. I will say, though, do not bench Carson Wentz for Jalen Hurts. Things will get better. He's going to get better. We've seen the talent from Wentz. We never see quarterbacks just drop off like this. And I just can't put the Eagles any higher right now. They're playing like one of the worst teams in the NFL. As we saw, them and the Bengals tied. They looked like equals to each other. I'm waiting on this team to get things back together. I haven't seen it yet, so they're going to keep dropping until they do. At number 26, we have the team that they tied, the Cincinnati Bengals. And, this was the team that we saw competing with the Eagles, which if we talked about that earlier in the year, it would have been more impressive. But the Eagles aren't looking too great themselves. But, Joe Burrow, he's everything that we thought he would be. He's done a great job orchestrating this Bengals offense. He's done a very good job executing in the short, intermediate passing game. I've been very impressed with that. That's what we expected. He's looked very accurate as we expected. Even our concerns are coming to fruition. So Burrow has had no surprises so far. He's not been nearly as good when throwing down the field, which is a concern. But I like to see the accuracy, and him doing what he does well is always a good sign. The Bengals defense does worry me. They're not good at all. It'll continue to be exposed through the season. Wentz and that Eagles offense are playing terribly right now, and they still put up good points against this Bengals defense. So, T. Higgins played great on that offense for them. He got 2 touchdowns this week. Good for fantasy. He's going to continue to be a red zone target. I like the direction this offense is headed in. I don't think it's quite there yet. The defense is a big concern. Got a fun matchup with the Jaguars. Neither team is competitive, but it'll be fun. And then they play the Ravens, which shouldn't be as fun. But Bengals here at 26. 25, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were blown out Thursday night. Rough night for them. But hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic comes around every once in a while and does that to you. So, and the Jaguars did look bad. I'm not going to give them a pass here just because Fitzmagic came by. But this was more the Jags team that I was expecting at the start of the year when I predicted them to go 3-13. And I was concerned because Minshew, something that he usually does very well as a deep ball thrower, he did not look like it this week. He missed all 5 of his shots he took down the field. I'm still hanging on to the Jaguars a little bit, though. I liked what I saw in those first couple weeks. I'm not ready to just plummet their ranking all the way back down to 30s because there are definitely teams that look worse than the Jaguars do at the moment. Minshew has played well. James Robinson looked promising on the ground. I still like some things I've seen with this Jaguars team. We'll see what happens in future weeks. Next week against the Bengals. But yeah. And next, we've got the Miami Dolphins at number 24. The Dolphins are rising this week. As I just talked about, they crushed the Jaguars on Thursday Night Football. Fitzmagic looked great. They just continued to pile on the points. Myles Gaskin looked very promising, especially for fantasy owners. He seems to have taken over that backfield over Matt Breida and Jordan Howard, which is not bad. The defense is good. As we expected, they've done a great job stopping the pass. They did a great job last week stopping Gardner Minshew in that passing attack. They couldn't get anything going, but, they struggled to stop James Robinson on the ground, which is about what we expected. But you're not going to get Fitzmagic every night. And so I don't think they're going to really keep out what we saw on Thursday, but still a good team, or still a fun team. We'll see them play this week. Should be a fun game. But yeah, Dolphins here at 24. They moved up a couple spots. At number 23, we've got the Atlanta Falcons, who have kind of been the joke of this year. We saw a preview of this season in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, 28-3. It seems like that's every single game for them this year. They blew the lead to the Cowboys. They blew the lead to the Bears with Nick Foles coming in. It's a fun offense to watch. The defense is very bad. It's a fantasy goldmine, and every time you play the Falcons. So I don't have too much to say about them. I think they're going to continue to be a team that is going to be in every game and lose a lot of them. So, that's what I have to say about the Falcons. At number 22, we've got the Detroit Lions. Good win over the Cardinals. Means the Lions do move up this week. And cannot believe that I'm saying this, but Matt Patricia, credit to him and that defense for doing a great job slowing down a great Cardinals offense. Matt Patricia really needed this. They got them their first win in a year, almost a year for Detroit. It has just impressed me to see the Lions to go toe-to-toe with that good Cardinals team that looked very good in those first couple of weeks. Okudah was promising. The offense was fine. It was good to see their composure in the last drive to seal that win, but finally something to celebrate in Detroit. They hadn't gotten a win in almost a year, so good for them. They're here at 22. At number 21, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers lost to Carolina. I thought we might have a team on the rise here with Justin Herbert. That was quickly shut down. They needed this win after a 1-1 start. They could have really gotten rolling, and I think they could have been competitors in the AFC. I think that this game really showed that they're not quite there yet. Justin Herbert is not quite there yet. He's getting used to it, which is okay. That's what we expected from Justin Herbert. The passing game, there was a lot of moving the ball. Keenan Allen had a good game. Austin Eckler had a good game. But the inexperience of Justin Herbert did come out this game. And, the defense looked good. 21 points against this Carolina offense is not bad at all. The offense just could not come away with points for their life against this bad Carolina defense. So, the Chargers, I don't think they're competitors in the AFC right now unless they really get things together. I think you should still continue to start Justin Herbert, have him develop. You want him to get as much time as you can right now in. He's not looked bad. He's looked promising at certain moments. But yeah, the Chargers at 21. At number 20, we have the Raiders. And, I think we were all overreacting. We were very excited about that win against the Saints on Monday Night Football last week. But I just don't think, I think that was a bit of an overreaction. I think 20 is a fair place to put them right now. Darren Waller was completely shut up this week by Bill Belichick. We know that's what he loves to do. Shut down what you do best. And the Raiders did not have an answer for that offensively whatsoever. For a lot of the game, there are just too many mistakes for the Raiders to go on the road and win against the Patriots. I don't see them similar to the Chargers. I just don't see them competing in the AFC. It's fun offense, good play calling from John Gruden, which I was very impressed with for a lot of the game. But yeah, the Raiders are here at 20. They've got some things to be excited about. I like Derek Carr. Just bad defense. I can't see them competing in the AFC. At number 19, we have the Minnesota Vikings, and this is a big riser this week, and it's funny because they lost, but I think they got their spark back. It's exactly what I wanted to see from the Minnesota Vikings. Well, exactly what I wanted to see was a win from them, but their defense is still very bad, but their offense looked like what we wanted to see. Their offense has put up 30 points against this Vikings defense, which is very well coached. So, their defense, again, is still very bad. That's a part of this ranking, though. Their offense looked much, much better. There is a lot of talent on this offense. That's why it was hard to drop the Vikings down as low as I did last week. But they were searching for that number 2 pass catcher in the receiving game. We got it with Justin Jefferson, who played great. Go pick him up in fantasy if you can. He will be that number 2 guy in the offense from now on. But they found their number 2 guy, and the team is not what it is last year, but they're certainly not looking like the bottom 5 team they were last week. I think they're going to be on an upward trend for the next couple weeks. So I've moved them up here preemptively. And yeah, our Vikings at 19. 18, we've got the Houston Texans. They're 0-3. They're here at 18. They had to play the Ravens, the Chiefs, and then the Steelers. So I'm not blaming them for being 0-3. I think most teams in the NFL would be 0-3 at this point. I haven't been particularly impressed. They started out the game strongly against the Steelers. Deshaun Watson has been okay in these games. Their front seven has been good. I think their defense is underrated. There's a lot of bright spots. We got news that they're not signing Earl Thomas despite bringing him for a workout, which has me questioning some things. But, David Johnson has been good. The offensive line hasn't. I'm still waiting to see this team play someone more on their level. I think that it's okay that they're 0-3. I'm not too concerned about the record. That's why I can't just look at the record of a team. But right now, it's hard to judge the Texans because of the strong competition they've played. I know they're not of the best because they would have been more competing, but I think 18 is a fair spot to have them. At number 17, we've got another riser, a big riser, the Browns. And the Browns looked good this past weekend, not something I'm used to saying. But I think this Browns team is going to be a team that loses to the good teams, beats up on the bad teams, and I think that's kind of what I expected to start the year. They're looking a little more in sync, a little better than I expected. And I think that this offense has been much more successful when they are run-heavy offense, run-centric. 2 wins that they've had, Baker throws the ball 23 times, and when they lost, Baker threw it almost double that, 40 times. So, the running the ball is the Browns' identity. They should stick to it, and I think they're figuring it out. I mean, they've got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in that backfield, the best running back duo in the NFL, I think, without question. So they're finding their identity. That's what I like to see from the Browns. Baker has not looked as bad in the past 2 games. The Browns are figuring things out for them. I think it's going to be tough for them to really compete in the AFC. Ravens and Steelers in the division who are looking good, but the 7th spot does really help the Browns in the playoffs, the playoff hunt. So it should be a fun team to watch. I like the fact that they're finding their identity, but right now, Browns are at 17. I can't really put them too much higher. At 16, we have the Indianapolis Colts, and a part of me wants to put them higher, a part of me wants to put them lower. 16 seems like a good spot for them because the Colts have beaten the Jets and the Vikings and then lost to the Jaguars, which are not the most, the best victories to have under your name, but they are wins nonetheless. I will give them that. Phillip Rivers has been a roller coaster, but he looked good this past week. Colts defense has been better than expected, in my opinion. I thought they were not going to be a good defense. They've looked average to above average. Xavier Rhodes is PFF's highest graded corner, which is a surprise. The offensive line is great. They get a real litmus test this week against the Bears, who I think both these teams are getting a litmus test with each other. We'll see how good both of these teams really are. But yeah, number 15, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They had a bumpy week, lost to the Lions. We talked about it a little bit earlier. They moved down 4 spots here from number 11. I was really getting hype about the Cardinals, and I'm still hype about them. I think they've got a lot of potential this year. I think they can still make the playoffs in the NFC. But Kyler Murray had to come back down to earth at some point. They're still contenders. This was rough. Murray threw 3 interceptions, almost a 4th. The Lions defense did a great job containing Murray and his rushing. And again, I don't think I was going to say this, but Matt Patricia was impressive. Cardinals play the Panthers in the Jets next 2 weeks. That should be a way to get them back on track. I like that schedule a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing them with a 4-1 record in 2 weeks. At number 14, we have the Chicago Bears. Foles took over and won them their 3rd straight game. They're 3-0. That's the story of the Bears right now. Trubisky really limits that off. I mean, we can talk about Foles, Trubisky. I think that honestly, this is ultimately going to help them. Trubisky really limits that offense so much, it's really hard to watch. While Foles is a hit or miss, it might be worth the risk if the Bears really want to stay competitive, because I don't think they can really be competitive with Trubisky. But if they hit with Foles, they can stay competitive. So, again, they play the Colts next week. Should be a fun one. Really show the true colors of these teams. The Bears are 3-0 though, and that's as good as you can be. I've got the Bears here at 14. At number 13, we have the Tennessee Titans. And to me, this is not a Super Bowl team, but I think that, the defense has been okay, very well coached, not the most talented defense in the NFL. Tannehill has not been as great as we saw last year. He has not been an issue, but last year the Titans relied so much on Tannehill being ridiculously efficient, with Derrick Henry just grinding it out every single game. And we finally saw Derrick Henry get involved, which was very good to see, especially in the red zone. Fantasy owners were waiting for those touchdowns to come in. They came in within 2 minutes. So, a tough road ahead with Steelers and the Bills. I think people are getting too high on the Titans right now, but I still like them. I still think they're playoff contenders in the AFC. At number 12, we have the San Francisco 49ers. And I know a lot of people might be asking me to move them up a little bit more. They're here at 12, though. I'm moving them up 2 spots. And I think that they moved up a lot in my head, but the 2 spots they moved up isn't exactly representative of how much I actually think they moved up, because, I think that I just can't see them above any of the teams that I have slightly above them. So, I just can't put up that banged up Niners team above them. But Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL. He showed that. They did a great job this week against the Giants. I just can't put them any higher with their eight best players injured right now. But they definitely did impress me this week. 49ers at 12. At number 11, we have the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys land here at 11. I was impressed with the fact that they were able to keep pace with the Seahawks. The defense is a big concern here, though, for me. Secondary has really, really struggled. And yes, it is hard to stop Russell Wilson when he's playing super well, but come on. It was just terrible. I would not mind the addition of Earl Thomas here. They need a safety, and the Texans are not signing him, as we just talked about. But, the Cowboys secondary is looking really rough right now. It was my biggest concern for them going into the year. I'm not too concerned for the Cowboys, though. I moved them up here a spot, and I know that a lot of people are worried because they got outplayed by the Seahawks, but let's be honest, I think almost every team in the NFL at this point would get outplayed by the Seahawks. So to me, the fact that the Cowboys were even able to keep pace despite turning the ball over twice was impressive. But, Dak both impressed me and did not impress me in this same game. He did a great job running the offense, moving through his reads, moving down the field for a large part of the game against the Seahawks defense, which is not impossible to move the ball on. But those bad turnovers maybe cost them the game, were not good. His pocket presence was not good, and that's something I've noticed as well. The Cowboys, I think, are going to continue to put things together as the season goes with their new head coach. And I think this week was actually somewhat impressive to me as they go up a spot here, despite the loss to Seattle. And number 10, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's hard that I cannot move the Buccaneers up at all because I've been impressed by them. I've been impressed by Brady. I've been impressed by the offense. They need Chris Godwin back healthy. But they've beaten the bad teams as we would have expected. Godwin did get things going in this past week, but they really need him healthy. He's the best player on that offense, or one of the best players on that offense, one of the best players on that team. The defenses look good, young secondary, good linebackers, their pass rush is good, top 10 defense in my opinion. The offense is getting on the same page, which is scary. Week by week, they're getting better. I think Tom Brady has some very good weeks. And, we get to see in the next couple weeks, they're playing some better teams, the Bears, and then the big test will be the Packers. Until then, it's really hard to move them too much because of that loss to the Saints, but we'll see. At number 9, we've got the LA Rams. We saw resilience this week from the Rams. It was impressive to me despite the fact that they did not come out on top. That was not a very good pass interference call, but I'm not going to judge that game. To me, I was impressed by both teams. I'll talk about the Bills in a second. I was not expecting that from the Rams. I mean, Jared Goff looked very good. He overcame adversity. That's not what we're used to. I was very, very impressed by Sean McVay And Jared Goff executed the offense, and that's what I'm looking for. The Rams are competing. They are a competing team. They're going to compete in the NFC. I think they could have or should have won that game. So, they're in a tough division, which is a little bit rough, but really, they cannot go down by 25 every game and expect to come out on top week to week. But I was still impressed by the Rams, the play calling by Sean McVay. Jared Goff impressed me. He's been good through 3 weeks. So yeah, Rams at 9. At number 8, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm hesitant to move them any higher right now. They're 3-0, but they've played 3 teams that are 0-3, or beaten 3 teams that are 0-3, which you can't fault them for. They've knocked down every team that they've played so far, but they haven't done it in dominating fashion. Actually, those games have been relatively close. The offense is just good enough. The defense has been great. TJ Watt is one of the best players in football at the moment. Big Ben has looked decent. And honestly, that is what the Steelers needed. They just needed a guy that can come in there and do the job. Like, they didn't have that last year. So I'm not completely sold on the Steelers. They're looking very good going into week 4. We'll see. We get some tests in the coming weeks. But right now, can't fault them for going 3-0. They're 3-0, first in their division. So yeah, Steelers at 8. At number 7, we have the Buffalo Bills. I told you we'd talk about the Bills in a second. Here they are. I was thinking that game was 28-3, and I said this team is going to be top 4 in my power rankings this week. But the game finished a little bit more rocky than we would have expected. Josh Allen has looked good. Still makes a lot of crazy plays, some bad decisions here and there, but definitely has impressed me this year. Diggs has looked great in that offense. And as I said, almost blew a 28-3 lead. They were able to pull through, though, at the end. I was impressed by Josh Allen on that final drive. Even when he stayed composed, it was impressive. And it sucks for the Bills, though, because just when we thought it was their division for the taking, Newton and the Patriots are looking very, very good as well. And the one surprise for me with the Bills is the defense has not actually been as good as we would have thought through the first couple of games. That could catch up to them. The Dolphins put up 28 on them. The Rams put up 30. It's just, they haven't looked spectacular like we were thinking. But we'll see. Josh Allen and this offense are rolling. Bills are 3-0. Hard to knock them too much for it. They're at number 7. At number 6, we have the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees just looks bad. Offense is completely reliant on Alvin Kamara right now. Not a terrible thing to rely on. He's one of the best backs in the NFL. Definitely the offense will benefit from having Michael Thomas back. I feel like they're almost waiting for it. The defenses look pretty good. And nobody's really been able to stop the Packers, so I'm not too concerned about that. And the Saints did keep up with the Packers for the most part, and I think that's, what's preventing them from dropping more. But if I see this team to continue to struggle, I will willingly drop them. And this team's upside right now is looking like it's really, really limited by Drew Brees. And I know you can call me crazy, but I'm just throwing this out there. Would the Saints have a better chance at winning a Super Bowl with Jameis Winston? Because, I think Jameis Winston makes this offense of much more upside than it does with Drew Brees. Might not be as consistent, but with Sean Payton in this refined system, could he do it? I'm not saying it should happen or could happen or will happen, but it's just something to think about. So yeah. Saints at 6. At number 5, we have the New England Patriots. They keep climbing. Cam looks great. This Patriots offense can win in so many ways. It's like the Chiefs offense with way less talent right now. You never know who it's going to be. Edelman, Rex Burkhead, Cam Newton, Damier Byrd, Sony Michel. There's always someone stepping up that offense to beat you. And that's why it's so hard to stop right now. They killed the Raiders. Bill Belichick is the best coach in football. The defense is looking like it's getting things together. The front seven is not as bad as I expected. The secondary is very good as we all expected. I think it's going to keep getting better as the weeks go on. And that's the scary thing with the Patriots. They're kind of building things on the move here, and they're doing it well. So this team is really coming together. They could be dangerous, and I think they're going to be a team that's very much overlooked. We get to see them play Kansas City next week. That should be really, really fun. But yeah, the Patriots are here at 5. Number 4, we have got the Green Bay Packers. Packers, I think we get a tier gap here. Patriots to Packers. I haven't been talking about the tier gaps, but I'll point some out when there's obvious tier gaps. And to me, I think we look at the three teams in this tier, and the Packers are the first one we're going to talk about. Aaron Rodgers is looking like his former self. Good win against the Saints on Sunday Night Football. And, we wanted someone else to step on that offense besides Aaron Jones when Davante Adams was out, and we got it. Allen Lazard did step up big time for that offense. And it's been spectacular. Maybe the best in the NFL through 3 weeks of the season. Aaron Rodgers is looking like vintage Aaron Rodgers. It's been great. The defense, on the other hand, is my concern. It has not been great. I've not been particularly impressed by too much. The Saints offense, it's the Saints offense. With Drew Brees, they still let up 30 points. I think that could come back to bite them later in the year, but they still have looked great nonetheless. Aaron Rodgers looks great. They're excited to get Davante Adams back sooner rather than later, and that'll be just a very scary offense. We got some fun matchups for the Packers in the coming weeks. At number 3, we have the Seattle Seahawks, and I will say I was tempted to put the Seahawks at 2, but I think that 2, 3, and 4 are all in the same tier, as I just said. I would still pick the number 2 team to beat the Seahawks as well. Wilson is running away with the MVP, though. He's looked fabulous. He would be on pace right now to throw for 75 touchdowns, which is absolutely insane. The offensive weapons are looking really, really good. Tyler Lockett has always been good. Now you add DK Metcalf to that offense, who is playing really, really well. That is just scary. The offense, the one hole on this roster, though, the defensive line has looked poor. The secondary has not looked great either. When you start playing some more good defenses, that could be an issue. But I'm just loving what I'm seeing from Mr. Unlimited right now and his Seahawks. So the Seahawks are here at 3. At number 2, and I think this is some people are questioning this placement. I'm keeping the Baltimore Ravens up here in the top 2. Do not panic with the Ravens. They will be just fine. I know it may be tempting to move them down here because they did not play like the second best team last night, and I'm fully aware of that. But let's be honest. You could have taken the Seahawks. You could have taken the Packers. You could have taken anyone on this list. And last night, they would have gotten killed against the Chiefs, operating at such a high level. And sure, you could say maybe the Seahawks would have been a little more competitive, or maybe the Packers. But that's because those teams are better built for beating the Chiefs or playing against the Chiefs. It was an off game for the Ravens, and I would still pick the Ravens, again, to beat any of the teams that I have below them, whether it be the Seahawks or the Packers. Lamar is going to get back on track, and the Chiefs, to me, they proved they're the best team in football. You got the best quarterback in the game and the best supporting cast. That offense was incredible. And I still think the Ravens, if they played that game back, I think the Ravens still would win 3 or 4 times out of 10. And I've noticed that in big games, there are many plays throughout the game in which are completely game-defining, and those just did not go the Ravens' way, especially from the start. That first drive, 3rd down, Mark Andrews touchdown pass. The Mark Andrews pass in which it would have been a 20-yard gain, but instead it was led to a 4th down. It's stuff like that really switches things up for the Ravens, and a lot of them have not gone their ways in their bigger games, and that's what happens to the Ravens, and they kind of collapse. But to me, it was a very off game. The coaching was the play calling was bad. I was not impressed whatsoever by Greg Roman's play calling. It just seems like when they get down, they panic. I think they're going to learn. I'm glad this happened to the Ravens in week 3 of the season and not the wild card game like it did last year. I think they know what they have to do. I think they know they have to not panic. The Ravens, I would still pick them over any team on here besides the Kansas City Chiefs, who are my number 1 team. I don't think there's any question here. They're on another level. Mahomes has looked fantastic these first 3 weeks. Him, Rodgers, and Wilson are playing at an MVP level right now. Andy Reid's play calling was spectacular last night. We never knew it was going to happen. The Wink Martindale could not keep up. They just made the Ravens, who were the second best team on here, look bad. They did exactly what they needed to do. Chiefs defense looked great. Just a great, all-time great team. And we get to see him play the Patriots this week. That should be fun. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Cam Newton. That should be a lot of fun. And yeah, the Chiefs are my number 1 team, and it's not really close. They're in a tier of their own. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. Those were my week 4 NFL power rankings. I'm updating them every single week. If you made it this far, comment, I made it. Let's see how many people really made it this far in the video. I hope you enjoyed. Until next week, peace.